Well, I know that we are recording this session, so for folks that are not able to get here at 3 o'clock, they'll be able to see what was said or missed, what they might have missed. But good afternoon again, everybody, and thank you for coming. It is just after 3 o'clock, and we had scheduled this from 3 to 5. So I have a couple of things to just kick off this event, and then I'll be passing the mic on, and we'll get on to the rest of our plans for today. This is our first attempt at a virtual open house, and we hope it, in a while anyway, and we hope this will be a helpful experience for you. We do expect to take some lessons away and that we'll learn from and be able to use in the future. Of course, we're always open to feedback if you have any suggestions on how we can improve this. As I already mentioned, we are recording this session. We were planning on possibly posting it on our webpage for others to view who could not make it today. If you have any concerns about that, feel free to just turn off your camera, and that should cover that. My name is Stephen Kaplan. I'm the principal here at Vista Virtual School, and I'm joined by a number of our staff members. Frank McCallum and Treena Bradbury are associate principals. We have lots of teachers here, and our department heads are here. We also, Alyssa Perry is our communications staff member, and she's going to act as a moderator to help us with this event. Unfortunately, I'm not going to list everybody who's here because we have about 65 staff members who work here at Vista Virtual. We probably use half an hour to go through all of their names. But thank you again to all the staff who were able to find the time to come and join us today. Frank and Treena and our department heads may have Frank and Treena definitely will have something to say. The department heads might also have just some tidbits before we go to the breakouts in a second. As I mentioned, we have a main room. This particular Zoom invite is the main room. We're going to have also breakout links for any of our visitors to go and speak to either particular high school departments, or maybe they have an interest in learning more about elementary or junior high or personalized learning. It's my understanding that the links will pop up at the bottom of your meeting, and you can just enter those. I imagine you can only be in one room at a time. So when you enter one, you might be prompted out of the other one that you're in, but you can come back and forth. There might be an option where someone has to let you in. So anybody who's watching those breakout rooms, of course, if you see somebody's trying to get in and there's a message that you need to let them in, we hope you'll do that right away. In a moment, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the school. And as I said, I'll be passing the mic on to some others who will provide you with a little bit more information about specific programs. And then before we let you go to those specific breakout rooms. We're looking forward to sharing more about our school and our courses. So now in our invitation, and thanks for those that kind of pre-registered, we also asked if there's any questions that you were looking forward to having answered. And we received a lot of really good questions. So our moderator, Alyssa, has assembled those in a Google Doc. And Alyssa, I can't remember, were you going to include it in a chat box here, or were you planning on sending that out in another way? I meant to ask you that before I put you on the spot here, but did you have an answer for that, Alyssa?
I can include them just in the chat box here. I can also send them out
Okay.
after the meeting as well.
So, and don't feel, like if you want to ask your question, regardless of whether it's on the document, we imagine we'll cover some of that information anyway in some of the information we share, but that document will be there. And what we will do is we feel that maybe you might have a question. You could certainly raise your hand, but it's a little easier if you put it in the chat section of of either this particular room or in the other rooms, and that way we can also keep a record of it so that we can maybe attach it to that Google document. But if you can use that text or that chat box option in your Zoom link, that way we'll get those questions, and our moderator is going to help us make sure we answer them. Okay. All right. So I hope that makes sense about a bit of the process. Alyssa, Frank, or Treena, did I miss anything that was really important to mention around sort of the general process? Not hearing anything. Frank, no, didn't miss anything.
All good.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to just provide a quick overview, try to be quick around Vista Virtual School. Like we offer a comprehensive grades 1 to 12 program based on the Alberta Ed Program of Studies. We've got a wide range of core and elective courses. We might have one of the largest catalogs of online courses in the province. I think we're roughly 300 available courses. Our program is asynchronous, which means there's no specific daily set time to attend class, but we do have scheduled components to our program, such as schedules for, or deadlines for assignments. Our students absolutely can finish early, but they can't go past any of those deadlines. Now, our students come to us for a whole host of reasons. A lot of them want to accelerate their program or enhance it, and some are trying to meet some unique needs or deal with some personal challenges that made it hard for them to attend or continue with their program. Our students have busy lives, and in most cases, they're taking their schooling through us. That's give them a far greater control over their life and their calendar in particular. We all know that students today have many opportunities and demands, unlike students of the past. We know that schooling doesn't have to be from 9 to 3:30, and our students who attend us have the same kinds of educational goals, but they can also pursue other things in their lives when they take their program through Vista Virtual School. For example, they can be involved in performance pursuits or be involved in sports. They can travel. Maybe they have other family needs that they need to attend to. Having the flexibility of coming to an asynchronous online school like Vista Virtual School allows them to really get into those things or deal with what their life has provided them. Vista Virtual School teachers, academic counselors, our inclusive education staff are all fully committed and care deeply about our kids. They want nothing more than them to be successful in our school. We know that kids come here hoping to be successful. They want to grow, learn, and realize their dreams. So our teachers have a wealth of experience in dealing with all kinds of students across the gamut and are able to help them with their, help them be successful and cope with the challenges that they might be dealing with. I did want to just say quickly a couple of things around some of our most successful students in our school. We know that those students, they set aside the time. They know that this isn't going to be magically happen without a set scheduled time in their day or their week. These students that have the most success are very independent, they're organized, they're motivated, and they have a strong sense of perseverance because when you work independently like this, you do face a lot of challenges around that. They tend to be pretty good readers, very good writers, and they're really comfortable and confident with technology, right? Students who need a lot of supervision and in-person support don't have the same kinds of success because there's a lot of time on their own. While we have a lot of success stories for these students, more often than not, it's because they've developed and acquired the characteristics and skills that I've mentioned from our successful students. For us, we want to help them be the best student they can be and experience the success. We know that they all have gifts and goals, and we work hard to help them set those goals in the courses, plan to be successful, and work to achieve them. We know that students succeed where the student and the teacher meet, and the school is there to help support them. That's all I wanted to say in terms of broad general pieces. I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. McCallum, and he's going to talk to you a little bit more about a couple of areas that he focuses on. So, right.
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time on one of them because one of them is around adult upgrading. We are a public high school, but we do actually do adult upgrading. And adults in the Alberta education system are considered those students who are 20 years of age or older on September 1st of any given school year. They are considered adults. We're able to serve those students, but we're required by legislation to do that as a cost-neutral service. So we're required to charge tuition fees, charge for textbooks and things like that. So for those students who maybe were not successful in getting their diploma up until the age of about 20, then we can still help them out, although for a fee. And that September 1 date becomes really important. I always say the luckiest students in in this province are the ones who have a birth date on September 2nd, because as long as you're 19 on September 1st, you can turn 20 on September 2nd, and you're still considered a school age student for that school year. So that's one area, and I won't dwell on that one. But the other one that I look after, and that is quite useful for a lot of students, is our off-campus program. So we do actually have quite a thriving off-campus program. We've also had a few RAP students, that's a registered apprenticeship program students, come through our school. Now, off-campus is basically work experience, and that is for students who may be working or volunteering, and that's the other one I always throw in. We have a lot of students who volunteer. They volunteer in their community groups, in various faith-based organizations, and so on. And so work experience can cover both of those. And basically what it is a way for us to track those hours and to award the commensurate credits for every 25 hours of work or volunteer time. Now, there is some prerequisite requirement. We do need to do a safety course first. That's a requirement from Alberta Education. It's a short course called Workplace Safety Systems. Most students are able to finish that in a weekend if they're dedicated to it. And then once that course is done, then a staff member, either myself or Ms. Burley in the northern Alberta area, come out to the work site to meet with the student and the supervisor, and we go through some paperwork and how this all works. We make sure that there are certain safety procedures and equipment in place, things like first aid kits, personal protective equipment, and so on. So that usually takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and then the student starts tracking their time. Very popular in the summer. For even students who are picking up something like COM, they may also be picking up some work experience credits while they're doing that. So a very popular program with us. Registered apprenticeship programs are a little bit more in depth. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but we do have some students who are looking at going into the trades. And with a partnership, through a partnership with an organization called Careers Next Generation, we can work to find apprenticeship placements for students. Work experience, students come to us with their job. I'm working at the McDonald's, I'm working at the mall, I'm working at a garage. But for the trades, the actual apprenticeships, we can work with an organization to help find apprenticeships in things like welding, electrician, plumbing, and so on. So there's all sorts of programs like that available. I'll leave the door open for any questions for that later on. But yeah, the adults, so if you know anybody who needs to finish off their diploma, we can help. And then off campus and the registered apprenticeship, very popular programs for students to earn some high school credits. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bradbury, who looks after our grade 1 to 9 program and our personalized program.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. McCallum. Can you hear me? Fabulous. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I'm a little biased, and I'm going to say that we offer a pretty fantastic distance ed program in grades 1 to 9. And I'll speak a little bit about that. I could probably talk about this program for hours, but I digress. So with reference to the grade 1 to 9 program, I'll kind of break it into chunks. So in grades 1 to 6, there are 4 required courses. So that would be your language arts, math, science, and social studies. In grades 7 to 9, at the junior high level, we have those same 4 required courses with the addition of health as a required course as the 5th. We do also offer some CTF and options courses in grades 1 to 9 as well. But those core courses are definitely the required. It is a perfect program for those students who would like flexibility in their daily school schedule. And maybe for a variety of different reasons, the Monday to Friday from 8 to 3 doesn't quite work for them. And they want some flexibility in their school schedule. So this is a perfect opportunity. What is required, though, we still expect our students to spend, at least 30 hours a week on their courses and ensure they are submitting assignments by those deadlines and those due dates that are assigned to you by your teachers. The other big important factor is that parent facilitation is required. and is absolutely necessary to the success of the students in this program. So if we have a student who's in grade 4, for example, who's trying to do this on their own, that would be exceptionally challenging. So parent participation and facilitation is definitely required in terms of the success of the student in the program. With reference to grades 1 to 3, a lot of the resources and materials are in print, but students are still required to submit electronically. In grade 4 to 6, where there's a variety of online and print. And again, everything needs to be submitted electronically into Moodle. And then in grade 7 to 9, everything is online. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention, I mean, the nice thing about this program is as well, a student can potentially work a little ahead of their timelines and due dates. And we actually have had some students between grades 1 and grade 9 finish their program early. Maybe they're wrapping up final exams and assessments at the end of May and beginning of June, and they end up with an extra few weeks that they can add to their summer vacation. So little carrot there for those who are definitely motivated. The other thing I wanted to mention is within grade 1 to 9, we have introduced a new program in the last 2 years called personalized learning. And the personalized learning program is for those students in grade 1 to 9 who may be dealing with some exceptional needs, some learning disabilities, some exceptional medical needs and things like that. And they need a program, but at a distance. And so we would create a customized learning plan for the student, depending on their skills, depending on the needs, and then the gaps that they might need to fill. So again, in order to be successful in that program, we require full-time commitment, parent and student, access to technology, and a support system as well. But again, I don't want to go into too great detail because we have a number of our grade 1 to 9 staff available and here this afternoon joining us, as well as personalized learning staff. So I do encourage you, if you have questions regarding grade 1 to 9 or personalized learning, please do pop into those breakout sessions because they have a wealth of knowledge and experience and success with these kiddos. So I do encourage you to connect with them in those breakout rooms. And yeah, those are kind of the highlights of our grade 1 to 9 program and personalized learning. And one thing I just wanted to add too, you know, thanks to Alyssa Perry, who helped facilitate this open house for us and our school this afternoon. So kudos to you, Alyssa, and thanks for all your help. And with that, I will hand it back to Mr. Kaplan and Alyssa for next steps.
Thank you. Thank you, Treena. Alyssa, before we go on, did you have a draw presentation that you wanted to make for our registered attendees?
So we did do a random name generator for a Vista Virtual School hoodie. So we do have a winner. If they happen to be in the room, then they'll be the winner. Let me just pull it up here. So is there a Lydia Bamadel in here? I apologize if I said your name wrong. So yeah, Lydia, if you happen to be in the room.
Yes, I'm here.
Lovely. Okay, great. So I'll contact you about getting you your hoodie through email. So congratulations and thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thanks, Alyssa, and congratulations to Lydia. Okay. Now, I didn't want to shortchange the department heads. I'm putting you a bit on the spot. I know you guys were going to, my understanding was be sort of the main host, hopefully be accompanied with some other teachers. So math, science and humanities in the high school. And then as Ms. Bradbury mentioned, I think in the grades 1 to 9, there'll be several teachers. But I think there's a little bit of a different structure for the junior high, elementary, and personalized learning. And Alyssa, I think you mentioned that there might be 3 or 4 different breakout rooms for them to kind of work in pairs, I think. Is that correct? Do you want to maybe re-explain that before I forget?
Yes, absolutely. So we'll have 6 separate breakout rooms. We'll have senior high math, senior high humanities, senior high science, and then we'll have elementary, junior high, and personalized learning, all as 3 separate breakout rooms.
Okay. And will those be well labeled, right? On
Yes.
the jump in? Okay, good. Now, for the high school hosts, did you want to say anything around what might be best if someone wanted to come into, say, the math breakout room, maybe talk about courses, maybe talk about, was there anything in particular you were going to be ready to talk about? And anybody, go ahead, Tanya.
I was just going to be ready to answer any questions somebody brings. So bring
Okay.
your algebra, bring your school questions, bring anything you want to know about math.
Okay, awesome. I did see Jamie. Did you same sort of thing, Jamie?
Yeah, same for humanities. So we have both English and social studies teachers, and as well, we'll also have a languages teacher in there. So if you have any questions about French or Spanish, we can answer those in there as well.
Awesome. And Diane, last one.
Yeah, the same thing for science. We've got a collection of biology, chemistry, and physics teachers going to be in the room for the science.
Okay, awesome. And for anybody else who's interested in either school level questions, the administration, Mr. McCallum, Ms. Bradbury, and myself will be in this main room for any questions. And then also our academic counselors will also stay in the main room in case there's any question that might be helpful for them. I saw a question in the chat. There was if you had a question about COM, which one should we send them to? Humanities? Would that be fair?
No, we'll stay in here because we can
Stay in
answer
here?
a couple
Okay.
questions here. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good question. So if you have a question about COM programming or maybe even electives, we can certainly help, but so stay here in general. All right. Any other questions before we let you go? All right. Okay, Alyssa, I think you can have those breakout rooms listed and it looks like we're good to go. And again, folks, thanks a lot for joining us. We're going to stay here and as long as we have people who are interested in chatting, but again, once you feel you've got the questions or the answers to the questions, thank you for coming. And if anything comes up after the fact, feel free to email either the teachers or us, and we'll be happy to try to help you. So thank you again. How can parents monitor progress of their children's schoolwork and assignments? So Derek, there's a couple of ways. Certainly contacting the teacher. Like I don't think parents don't have access to the gradebook, right? Unless they do.
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a parent account. So just like students can log in on our website, parents also have an account to log in on the website because parents can access the grade book, seeing all the assignments and their grades. That's also where parents can request additional courses.
The other thing that we would add on that is parents would be included on a regular, like our plan right now is that on the first and third Wednesdays every month, progress reports will go out and parents would also be a recipient for that. So you could see how well students, without having to necessarily go in on your own, you'll get those things on almost a bi-weekly or twice a month anyway. Patricia asks a question. Will there be an option for children in grades 7-8 to do a course over the summer? Unfortunately, we've just not had enough interest overall for that to work. So Patricia, right now, no. How many spots are available for COM? We, in the past, have not limited our numbers. We our registrations for summer. Are you talking about summer? Yeah. Our registrations will open May 15th and then we close them by June 15th and we basically assign teachers as we need. So we pretty much are open. I hope that's the right answer, right, Frank?
It is, and I mean, keep in mind, COM is one of the heaviest it is the heaviest requested course in the summer. And so in terms of the COM, I mean, we've had over 1,000 students in summers past. So I don't see capacity as being an issue. In the sciences, similarly, we don't have a cap on the sciences. So science 10, bio 20, those are typically bigger areas. The place where we do have some caps is on the grade 12 level humanities. It's a little more difficult with English and social 30-1, 30-2 for the teachers to look after all of those essays for all of those courses.
There's a question from Niall about the experience they've had. And I'm not sure, have you been in Vista Virtual for the past 3 years? Niall?
No, sir. No, in another school division
Okay.
down here in Southern Alberta.
Okay. So, like there are synchronous, and I mentioned asynchronous in my presentation, compared to synchronous, which means there is that set time where students attend at a given time on a daily basis to attend math or whatever. Our program, most of our students are looking for that flexibility, not being required to come in at a certain time. So your question in terms of, richer school experience, like our kids are often, the ones that have the most success here are strong, tend to be really strong students, and they have a very busy schedule. And I think the agreement they probably have at home is that if you want to have the busy schedule, outside of school, you have to make sure you stay on top of your studies. So they typically are, they're up to date in their schedule and their timeline. They're also, in regular communication with their teachers, and of course, probably have a lot of support at home. But they tend to be fairly strong learners, and they also benefit from our courses. If you were to go in, I don't know if our teachers were planning this, but I was hoping they might share some of the courses, like show you what our course looks like. Obviously, there's a lot of reading involved, but they do have lots of videos and other supplementary activities in there that are not strictly reading, but they're very engaging courses. It's not just like opening a textbook and just reading a textbook. If you were looking at other things, like some of the things that are missing, I won't lie to you, is some of the in-school experiences that kids would have. Those are not necessarily here, but those kids tend to have those social experiences outside of school anyway. So,
Stephen, can I?
Did that help, Niall? Is he still there?
Still here. Yeah, that's helpful.
Stephen, can I just add to that?
Sure, Jessica, go ahead.
I'm the academic counselor for the elementary and junior high. I think the asynchronous part that really benefits students the most is that ability to, when they get something, just go ahead and get it done. And when you need help, you get that one-to-one help with the teacher, because that's what the teachers are set up for every day, is that one-to-one help, as opposed to, say, teaching synchronously on camera or something like that. It's, as the student needs help, they're able to get that. And even though we have a personalized learning program per se, I've also taught from a distance for a while, is that you do have students who want to dig deeper into certain areas of curriculum, bring in their own strengths and stuff. And the teachers have a lot more ability to mold assessment to that student. I can give an example from phys ed. I actually had a student who was into robotics and actually built a bracelet that changed color according to their heart rate, which is not in the phys ed curriculum, but the student did a lot of work, university type stuff, trying to figure out what the right heart rate zones are and stuff. So with it being asynchronous, you get those opportunities to allow students to sort of take certain, not all assessment by any means, but certain assessments down their own paths without it, necessarily affecting the class as a whole.
No, that's that's very helpful. Thanks, Jessica. I think that's kind of what I was wondering about, is really the one-on-one interactions with the staff. In the programs that our kids are in now, It seems very, very basic, you know. The lessons are very, I don't know, there's just kind of cookie cutter type approach to kind of their learning. So you know, I think to your point, Stephen, we do have a couple of kids that are, you know, strong students, independent learners like that. You know, we do a lot of enrichment in the house here too, but to have kind of that you know, more personalized connection with their teachers, like you're describing, Jessica, is kind of what we're trying to find. So thanks.
And in addition to that, you know, if a student is really, again, at the high school level, it's a little easier to do this, but if a student is moving quickly through, you know, like if they could do 3 times or, you know, a course before the end of the semester, they can sometimes start another course sooner, right? Especially in the elective areas, they can move on a lot faster. And we can help tailor some of the programming if a student needs that kind of challenging. So.
The other one I'd throw in for Neil in particular is that, I mean, the pandemic has caused challenges for everyone. We used to have a practice or a habit of doing what we would call road trips, where we would bring staff to different parts of the province so that there could be some face-to-face contact. Obviously, that's been a gong show for the last couple of years, but we are looking to reestablish those. We would typically do a run down to Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, up to Red Deer. That would be the most common, and occasionally out to Canmore if things warranted it. That was really helpful, especially during exam times when students were looking for a little bit of a review and things like that.
Great, thanks, Frank.
Lynn, did you get the answer to your question about the cap for Science 10? I seen you said yes. I think the short answer is there is no cap on Science 10 and Biology 20. I don't know if Lynn's still here. I think maybe, okay. And Ying, you asked, like, unfortunately, you can't start your summer courses before July 1st, just so you know. Ying, I just wanted to add that for the summer school, just so you know, our courses run only in July. I think the first week of August will be set aside for only exams, but there really is no coursework being done in August. And just so everybody knows, Lori and Jessica is an academic counselor. Christy Borley she helps with inclusive education. And Jake is the elementary junior high department head, and he also is closely connected to personalized learning. So if there's any questions that you'd like to ask about that, Jake is here to help too. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Or
I do see one about the 45 days to withdraw from the course. Yeah, I believe you're talking about an adult registration for something like that. For a school age registration, there are specific drop dates for every given semester, depending on the length and time of the semester. So for instance, in the second semester, which runs from February through till the middle of June, the withdrawal date was April 6th. But yeah, for adults, basically you get a 6-month window to take the course, and there's a 45-day window to withdraw for a refund, provided no work has been submitted. If work has been submitted and we've gone through the assessment process, that will reduce the amount of tuition refund available. But it's not uncommon. I mean, people get into a course and realize, whoa, this was way more than I anticipated. And recognizing that and doing the withdrawal, I mean, that's going to save you a lot of headaches, and it's probably going to be a better use of your time, because this type of learning is not for everybody. It's certainly been successful for a lot of students, but certainly not for everybody.
And sometimes too, Frank, I would mention that adults try to do maybe 3 or 4 courses when it's easier to start with one, get used to our system, and then figure out things. And online is a little bit different than maybe what they're used to. So it's always nice to start with one course, see how it goes. And then you can always add another one, because we have continuous enrollment, which is different from a number of adult programs.
And just for Hamza, who came in late and is asking about junior high, Jessica has given you a little bit of an answer. But if you go down to the bottom of your screen, there are also some breakout rooms, and there is a junior high room where you can go and ask specific questions about junior high.
Again, for people who are joining us kind of on the go, feel free. We're here available for any general questions that you might have. If you have I'm one of the administrators, Miss Bradbury's an administrator, Mr. McCallum's an administrator. We kind of have sort of the general school questions. Miss GL, Goshen Lanao, Miss Luciak are academic counselors, so they can answer programming questions. Miss Borley she works with inclusive education and can help with some, the special needs programming and so forth. And Mr. Workington is a department head for the elementary junior high, but he also can answer questions around personalized learning as well, even though I think we do have a breakout room for personalized learning. Is that correct, right? So if you had, but Jake is also Mr. Workington's wealth of knowledge there too. So, all right.
So a couple of questions that have cropped up in terms of registration. When a student registers, as long as you've completed and submitted the registration correctly, you will get an automatic email saying, we have received your registration. It will be processed in the coming days or weeks. Around the summer semester, you would expect at least a week for us to process a registration, because we typically get several hundred, if not several thousand registrations for the summer semester. So the big thing is, if you don't get that automatic reply, if you don't get that automatic, we have received your registration, then there's a possibility you didn't hit the final submit button. Maybe you didn't complete one of the fields that's required. We will usually send you a link to get back into that registration so you can finish it off. But that's a really important one. In terms of the phys ed, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Luciak, because there's a question around outside of core subjects, and phys ed was the specific.
Yeah, and I'm sure Miss Borley could do it as well, since we both taught it for quite a while. Phys ed is sort of three sort of portions to the course. The easiest to understand is there's some written assignments, but most people sort of, and then a phys ed 10 specific program also has to have some CPR. So sometimes students are already certified in CPR. They're through first aid, or they've taken Bronze Cross or something like that. The activity hours, the way those work is that there's different categories or dimensions of activities. And we give you at the beginning of the course these tables that list different types of activities that fit within those. And you have to do a minimum number of hours in each of the 5 categories. And then you can put the rest of your hours wherever you want. A certain portion will need to be instructed by somebody who has some training in that area. So that's easy if a kid plays on a sport team in their community or something. It becomes a little more difficult if you're not part of something, but our phys ed teacher is always able to work something out. One thing with phys ed is the easiest thing to do is to call the teacher right at the beginning of the course and say, hey, this is what I already do. What else can I do as far as activity hours? Then it's sort of like work experience, where you're filling in logs with your activity hours, getting supervisors to sign off, and that type of thing. So you're really just accessing what's readily available either in your community, sometimes even just say in your home, a video game like Dance Dance Revolution, something like that. You're never ever allowed to use all of your hours on just walking. However, you can use hiking, walking for some of your hours. So that is one of the reasons it's a little bit like work experience, where we do offer it year long. It's one of the few courses we offer as a year long, just because we live in Alberta and there's seasons, and there's certain activities that are a little better done in May and June than in the middle of January. So it's just a course that has a lot of options that makes it a little confusing at first. But like I said, if you were to enroll, the easiest thing to do is to call the teacher, and they will help pre-approve all of your hours before you do them. Is there anything specific you want to ask there? But that's the basics of it.
There's also a lot of option courses outside of phys ed. Basically, There's a lot of courses that we offer that other schools may not have. We have a very thriving forensic studies program that's very, very popular. We have a number of psychology courses that are very, very popular. So there's a lot of breadth to the program outside of core. Now, there was also a question around IPPs or individual program plans, and I think Ms. Burley has started to answer that. So I'll ask her to chime in here. But basically, for an IPP, I mean, we do offer accommodation. Really depends what those kind of accommodations are. Because it's online learning, there are some very important and subtle differences. For instance, quite often an accommodation in a bricks and mortar classroom will be extra time to complete assignments. Well, that's no problem. You can take as much time as you want to work on the assignment, just keeping in mind the deadline. You're not bound by a 1.5 hour class during the day. There's other things that we find are really helpful. A lot of folks need things like readers or text to speech. There's a lot of technology that can do that, which makes online programming quite good for that kind of accommodation. And we can also get that accommodation for provincial exams and final exams, provided the student use those during the year. Ms. Burley, do you want to throw other stuff in around the IPPs?
Sure, you covered, the general outlook, what we can and cannot offer. Basically, what we try to do is with the full-time students is we do work closely with the families and the students to ensure what needs we can meet and how we can meet those needs. And that often requires also working closely with the teachers and getting them on board and making sure that the accommodations fit with the course as well as the student. So we do it on a student-by-student basis. Again, when we do the individualized support plans, we make sure we have current documentation is what we require to be able to offer those accommodations outside extra time on exams, which is given to all students. But we do have other exam accommodations that can help students with anxiety, for example, or other diagnoses that the student is challenged with. Again, it's on a one-to-one consultation basis. The documentation has to not only be current, but it has to be professional document. So it usually requires some type of assessment or previous support plan from the school, where we have some reports, something to work with. And it's a very personal thing often. So, we keep it, it's not shared with anybody outside the school. We work closely with the families, the students, and the teachers. We just basically work as a team to make sure we can support where we can. And as Frank mentioned, there is some limitations. One of the biggest questions we do get with support plans is isolation. Now, obviously, isolation is not a concern when students are working on their courses at home, but when they need to go outside for diploma exams, this sometimes can cause some challenges for students. And we have been able to work around that with things like noise canceling headphones, preferential seating, etc. So we do have some limitations because it is online learning, but basically we try to support the best we can using that one-to-one consultation, basically, to make sure that that support plan is beneficial and not just something that's on paper. We do realize that a lot of the students who are in the high school, the exam accommodations is usually their number one priority, because they want to make sure they have that support. And again, it's really important to understand we do need that from Alberta Ed perspective, the proper documentation to be able to support that on our side as well. If there's any other questions on that or specific examples, please voice them out or put them in the chat.
Thanks, Christy. Again, for the benefit of anyone who's recently joined us, we're the school administration team, some academic counselors, as well as inclusive education staff. If you have any questions that are sort of broader in terms of school operations, the admin can help you. Our counselors can help with any questions as well. So if you're new to the room, feel free to type them in the chat, and then we'll get to them in order. Otherwise, yeah, that's what we're here for. And if you didn't miss the opening preamble, introductions and stuff, I again apologize for that. We are recording the session. So if you joined us after all of the introductions, our intention is to record the session and post it up on our webpage, so you can get sort of the that foundational information or the introduction or information. We do invite people anytime you want to contact us. We have lots of inquiry staff that can again help with your general questions, or if you want to talk to school administration, you can find our contact information on the website and feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, Frank. And if you are just joining us, we do have breakout rooms. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom invitation, there's department specific stuff for high school information, and also information for the divisions 1 and 2 or elementary and junior high. You can just click on one of those breakout room buttons and go ask specific program questions. Those teachers there will be happy to answer your questions. Well, again, we thought we would try a online open house. I think there's some value in that, especially for folks who can't get to us in person. Our school does serve the whole province of Alberta. We have students in all corners of the province, and so it's certainly a pleasure and quite the opportunity for us to help advance the learning of those students. But it does make it a little harder for them to come to an in-person open house if we have something. So the virtual one is something we were looking forward to trying, and hopefully it's providing some information for you guys and helpful. For those of you that are new to us, again, all of our teachers, well, with the exception of one, do work at a distance. We have a number of them that do live in Calgary, but they do, all the teachers do work at a distance. And work with their students at a distance. About half of our support staff are here on campus, and the other half work remotely as well. So we're quite familiar with supporting students in their learning at a distance. Been around, Vista Virtual has been around for, I guess we're up to 26 years now, right? One of the first online schools back in the mid-90s. In fact, I believe Mr. Workington, he could give us a whole history lesson on this. I think he's given me the lesson once or twice in the past. He was there back at the beginning for Vista Virtual and knows sort of how it got off the ground and how it's grown over the past 26 or 27 years. We do consider ourselves certainly one of the front runners, if not one of the leaders in online education here in the province. Jake, you remember those days, right? You've shared with me. I think you said that you were one of the people who was responsible for starting some of the online courses, right?
Yeah. So yes, thanks, Stephen. But back in '98, yeah, the Vista Virtual was 1 year old. No, well, with under Pembina Hills structure with the ADLC, it was 1 year old. But yeah, it's grown a lot and has improved immensely, but does have a long history and a lot of expertise from many, not just myself, but a lot of others as well.
Thank you, Jake. Well, for those of you there, don't be shy. Okay, here we go. We got a question from Kate. Love it. Yeah. Well, there are some of us that are always getting older, and eventually we do have to hang up our hats. Right now, we're actually in the process of hiring summer staff for our teachers. Anyway, we're looking at some summer staff. We do have we just hired 2 summer students as well, post-secondary students who are looking for work from May to August. So we did hire those for the summer session. And aside from that, though, right now there isn't any other positions. Most schools are going into wrapping up their school year and of course looking into the next school year, and their regional offices are doing their tour around the schools. And yeah, so we're having our tour at the end of this month, and we'll know sort of what our staffing situation will look like for the coming school year shortly after that. So if you are interested in being a teacher or a support staff member, we do have, we use 2 platforms for our job postings, and that's where they go. One is Applied Education and the other one is Indeed. So Thanks for that question, Kate. Okay, so do you need to be a CBE student ID to register in summer school? No. Just so you know, we're not a Calgary Board of Education school. So just in case that was a thought, we are an Alberta school with Pemberley Hills is the school division. It's an Alberta-based school division. It happens to be based out of Barhead, actually, which is just north of Edmonton. Summer school is kind of unique because students can register in any school authority. So as a Calgary-based student, you can register for summer school, in any school authority. But typically you are limited to 10 credits of summer school for high school students. High school students can register for up to 10 credits of high school programming. So in that, we understand it to be in however many schools you want, you're still only allowed to register in up to 10 credits. So you could register with CBE, Pemberley Hills, or Calgary Catholic, but again, the limit is 10 credits. And the credits, just so you know, are registered with Alberta Education, right?
It's free for any student who is under the age of 19 as of September 1. So
Right.
the only time there's any fee is if there's a textbook, in which case we collect a textbook deposit. But that deposit is fully returned when the textbook comes back to us at the end of a course. So something like a science or a math course, they will typically have a textbook. That deposit can be anywhere from $90 to $150, and then you get that money back when the textbook comes back. Now, I'm not sure if you're looking at any specific courses. Something like conference, as we mentioned earlier, there's no textbook for that. So for a school age student, there's no fee. As far as I know, we're not delisting any courses. So
yeah. Thanks for the question, Derek. We have shortened our summer school listing, just so you know, the summer school listing will not be as broad as it normally is, just because of our enrollments are not, in some of the courses that we are not offering in the summer, that the enrollments aren't there. And I can't remember, I thought we had a summer school course listing on our website. So that should be a separate section anyway, but the listing that you have, if you're looking for September, that should be up to date. And like Mr. McCallum said, we hadn't considered, we're looking at broadening our course, possibly broadening our course offerings for the coming year, but the ones that are up there should be current.
Is it okay if I just follow up on the voice here?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, because my son and I were just looking at this, and where it says semester 2, is that for like the starting in January, or is that, what does that mean?
Yes. Yeah. Typically semester 2 would be February 1st. So our semesters would be September to January. And then, so what you might be looking at is, and again, I'm not 100% sure, but when we open registrations for semester 2 in, I think it's November 30th or December 1st, that's when students could actually formally start choosing courses for semester 2. So anyway, that might be, when you see a semester 2 reference, if you're on our webpage, it might be because it was actually from this past semester 2. So our grade 10 offerings, Derek, are, I think, up to the end of this month. Can you not still register in a grade credits 1 to 3 courses, right? It's the end of the month, Jessica or Frank? The end of the month, Treena, end of the month for credits 1 and 3 credit courses. I think that's the deadline. And I think for 5 credit courses, the deadline to register is already passed. So it was the beginning of April.
yeah, I think it's the end of April.
For next year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, so well, that's why we're seeing just semester 2 here on most of these courses.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's also why you wouldn't be seeing core courses on there. So you wouldn't see any grade 10 core courses like English 10-1, 10-2, Science 10-14, because those 5 credit course registrations have already closed for the second semester.
Gotcha. Okay. So come July or whatever, when the cycle starts for the registration.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's where we're at on that. We we'll be opening our summer school registration for on May 15th, and that'll go for a month. And then we kind of have a little bit of overlap. Some of our returning students are allowed to register in June, but all of our new students the registration won't open for them until July. But the course listing should be up to date by then.
Wow, cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I just double checked, Stephen, the course request deadline for the 1 credit courses is April 30th. So the end of this month. Yeah. So that might explain why they were only seeing a limited number of courses available at this point.
And that's really important because I'm sure Mr. Hatchie there might have been thinking, hey, you're not offering any core courses for next year and nothing in first semester. So it's good that we had that chat. Technology works really well for us, but it also, we have to make sure we don't overload our web pages, as most people who when they start going on to web pages, it can be too much. So of course, we try to make sure things are gone out in scheduled form so that it helps our students and our stakeholders, parents, and so forth. All right, I think I recognize most of the names that are here. So I don't know if I have to go back to the start, but again, if there's any questions, we have school administration here and we have some academic counselors. Christy, are you still? Yeah, Christy's still here. So if you have any questions about inclusive education, Christy can help us with that too. So. And I get the sense some people might be on our website poking around just to see if any other questions. So we're not trying to rush you or anything like that. If you do something comes up or you're searching around, we'll still be here for a while. So.
And I feel like we're in the milling in the hallway portion.
Exactly. Yeah. Good call. Yeah. Just missing the cookie table where we can go over and occupy ourselves, right? Again, we appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come and join us.
Okay, thank you. Am I supposed to join a breakout room or ask you?
Well, you don't have to. If the breakout rooms are they're available for you if you have sort of specific questions about particular courses. Or again, there's teachers in there who would be able to maybe answer any specific questions you might have about that teacher and course, right?
No, my question is kind of just general.
Okay.
So I've done Vista virtual before, so I know how it works and stuff. I'm in grade 12 right now.
Okay.
And I was wondering about upgrading courses like online, like how does that work, or what do you guys have for like upgrading?
So upgrading courses, we offer just regular high school courses that you'd find in any school, right? Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that are based on the Alberta curriculum. Mm-hmm. If you've taken our courses before, you're probably familiar with the structure and generally the content. So if you're a student who's looking to either take an additional course to enhance, what you've already done, or if you want to improve a mark, you can do that here. If you're 19 years or younger, typically you're funded, like the Alberta Education would fund for you. If you're 20 or older, then you would be identified as an adult. You could take the course with us, but you'd have to pay tuition, right? So you've been on our website. So if you know where our course listing is, you could go in there and you could see what the courses are being offered. And then I guess it depends. What course were you thinking of upgrading?
Oh, I'm honestly not sure yet because I was referring towards the end and see what mark I would like to just include.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, but I just want to see if you guys have that option, and so I know where to go right away.
So are you thinking of repeating a course to improve the mark? Is that what you mean by upgrading, or just
Okay. Oh yeah. Not just just repeating a course that I've already done.
So our summer school registrations will open up on May 15th. And there should be on our webpage a link to go into the summer school course listing. You can see what is being offered there, and you can register. We of course are closing the registrations this year on June 15th. So, if you register and then shortly after you find out that you don't need to upgrade the mark, we'd ask you to let us know. Otherwise, of course, by the end of June or July 1st is when the courses start, and then you've got a busy July if you're taking summer school. If you're planning on, upgrading in September, we'll of course open registrations for returning students on June 1st and for new students on July 1st. So it sounds like if you've taken courses with us before, you might be able to register in June for September. Okay.
June, that's when it starts. Okay.
Okay, good question.
Yeah, depending on your age, Mara, and if as Mr. Kaplan said, I mean, summer school is unique because you have to finish a course in a very short period of time. But if you're looking at, if you've got some time to upgrade, and depending on your age, you may want to register for September. And if you've already completed 3 years of high school, or if you're in the process of completing 3 years of high school, then when you register for September, you would be considered a year 4 high school student, and you would be eligible to take up to 20 credits throughout the whole year. So you could potentially do 5 or 10 credits in the first semester and 5 or 10 credits in the second semester, depending on how many courses you are looking to upgrade, right? So
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I'm turning 18.
Oh,
soon,
perfect.
So
yeah.
And I'm graduating like in May.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And too, I mean, everybody's, everyone has different goals and timelines and things like that. And sometimes students are, wanting to spend a gap year on upgrading courses and upgrading course marks. So you might be in a situation where, exactly. Right. You can work on a course in semester 1 and semester 2 for, a post-secondary program in 2024, for example.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Those were my questions, and just wanted to kind of make sure you guys have that option.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by and asking the question.
Of course. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Bye.
I think we're on our way out here, but just wanted to say thanks for putting this session on, and it's really helpful to talk to you as administrators and to your staff in the junior high and elementary breakout rooms. So I think we had all our questions answered, so appreciate the opportunity.
Good. Oh, good. Well, thanks again for joining, and appreciate the feedback there.
All right. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care.
Bye now.
Oh,
yes, I'm here. Sorry.
No problem. Good. Just wondering if you had any questions or anything we can help you with.
I asked one question earlier.
Okay.
So I appreciate all your, all of these details. It's an excellent opportunity for our kids. We do not get this in our times. We never got this. And we will probably go through, we have a little bit, few options we might have to investigate. And one more time, I appreciate your, I just talked to my daughter about summer school. We'll think about the schedule here, and obviously we will. We just my personal opinion, it's going very, very good with the way how the teacher is communicating and the way how you run this program. And one more time, I appreciate working and getting my kids with you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Appreciate that comment.
Yeah. Thank you.
One thing that did come out in one of the, so as I circulated through, the math folks were asking some questions because they had some questions about 19-year-olds turning 20, and they brought up a really good point. We need to get a message out to all of our students at the end of the school year that if they are graduating this year and they think that they are going to need a course at some point next year, that they need to get registered in something by September 30th.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's a 1-credit CTS course, get yourself in the door somewhere so that you can then access education for the rest of the school year.